It was a cool autumn evening in 2024, when the last rays of the sun melted into the encroaching twilight, that the digital battleground of Fortnite was poised for an impactful shift. In a modest, cluttered bedroom on the outskirts of a bustling city, a teenager known only by his online alias Sabortion sat before a pair of gleaming monitors. The soft hum of high-end gaming equipment filled the air, while scattered figurines and posters of legendary sports moments hinted at a passion that went far beyond mere pastime. Tonight, however, this room was not just a sanctuary of gaming, it was an area where ambition, brilliance, and a dangerous allure for shortcuts converged his way. Chapter 1: The Spark of a Prodigy. Sebastian Araujo, the real identity behind Sabortion, had always been an anomaly among his peers. His journey began in the unremarkable hours of early childhood, when his fascination with video games was as natural as breathing. In local arcades and on family consoles, his nimble fingers and razor-sharp reflexes set him apart. As Fortnite emerged as the global phenomenon it is today, the young prodigy saw his opportunity to shine. Every match, every tournament became a stepping stone in a relentless ascent toward competitive greatness. His exploits were recorded in online leaderboards and celebrated on platforms like Wikipedia.
Epic Games is suing a Fortnite hacker. So the hacker goes by the name Sabortion, and because of this,
Epic
he's either
Games
been
filed a lawsuit against a player for using hacks in a tournament. Imagine ending up in jail.
Fortnite is suing a teenager. Yes, you heard that correctly. If you haven't seen these screenshots circulating on social media, they're from the legal case Epic Games versus Sebastian Araujo.
His name appeared alongside scores and earnings that steadily grew, from modest $100 wins to multiple $300 triumphs, eventually accumulating nearly $4,000 by the season's end. Yet behind the dazzling victories lay an inner turmoil. For a prodigy accustomed to the adulation of fans and the thrill of victory, the pressure to stay ahead became almost unbearable. In moments of quiet reflection, when the roar of online chat and the flashing scoreboards faded into silence, Sebastian questioned whether natural talent alone would secure his place among Fortnite's elite. Chapter 2: Temptation in the Shadows. Late one night, when the world outside slumbered and digital clocks glowed with a serene blue light, Sabortion's curiosity led him down a path few dared to tread. Venturing into hidden corners of the internet, encrypted forums, clandestine chat rooms, and underground repositories of how-to guides, he encountered discussions of exploits and hacks. These were not mere technical tricks but sophisticated tools designed to tip the balance in high-stakes digital arenas. Among these tools were aimbots, programs that could automatically track and target opponents with unsettling precision, and wall hacks, which rendered the once opaque virtual barriers transparent. The promise of such power was intoxicating. Every keystroke in those dimly lit digital corridors carried a mix of trepidation and excitement. The thrill of mastering something forbidden was a heady elixir that blurred the line between ethical play and outright deception. Sabortion, whose early victories had been celebrated as the fruits of natural skill and perseverance, soon began to experiment. What started as tentative forays into tweaking game files evolved into a systematic approach to harness these forbidden algorithms. The lines on his monitor, once mere code, became the instruments of his new, and increasingly perilous, arsenal. Chapter 3: Ascendancy in the Shadow of Doubt. As the competitive season advanced, Sabortion's tournament performances grew ever more extraordinary. In one match, his character maneuvered with an agility that defied human limits. In another, shots fired with the precision of a laser beam struck down opponents in rapid succession. The digital spectators, thousands of eyes watching via live streams, marveled as his gameplay transcended what was deemed possible. Yet beneath the surface of these triumphant displays, subtle anomalies began to emerge. Behind the scenes, Epic Games' state-of-the-art anti-cheat systems logged irregularities, a fraction of a second delay in reaction time that could not be attributed to natural human reflexes, a consistent pattern in targeting that was too uniform to be mere instinct. Data packets, normally random and chaotic, revealed patterns suggestive of algorithmic intervention. The evidence, although cloaked in technical minutiae, began to form a mosaic that painted a disquieting picture. It was no longer a question of raw talent alone, the signs pointed unmistakably to an external assistance. The whispers in online forums grew louder. Gamers debated in heated threads whether the incredible precision of Sabortion was the product of countless hours of practice or the calculated outcome of illicit software. The controversy reached fever pitch when highlight reels from a major tournament displayed moments that defied probability, moves so flawless that they left even the most veteran players questioning reality. Chapter 4: The Fateful Tournament, When Legends Collide. The turning point came during a high-stakes tournament that was broadcast live to a global audience. The arena was electric, every virtual spectator on the edge of their seat as Saborteon navigated a labyrinthine digital battlefield. In one dramatic round, his avatar appeared to phase through obstacles, disappearing behind virtual walls only to re-emerge in a position that allowed him to decimate the opposition in a flurry of seemingly inhuman shots. The broadcast paused in disbelief, commentators exchanged astonished remarks as the live chat erupted in fervent speculation. During that match, Epic Games engineers were already deep in analysis. Their systems had flagged the match for irregularities. Detailed forensic reports later revealed that the network logs contained encrypted signatures, tiny digital fingerprints, of third-party modifications that could only be linked to advanced hacking software. The evidence was irrefutable, and the digital trail grew too conspicuous to ignore. Chapter 5: The Fall and the Legal Storm. Within days of that fateful match, the digital fortress of Fortnite was breached not by an external enemy but by the internal machinations of a once-celebrated competitor. Epic Games, determined to preserve the sanctity of competitive play, launched a full-scale investigation. Their findings were damning. Saborteon had deliberately employed both software and hardware modifications to gain an unfair advantage during tournaments. The decision to take legal action was swift and uncompromising. Epic Games filed a lawsuit against Saborteon, marking one of the most high-profile legal battles in esports history. Court documents detailed a litany of evidence, a compilation of altered in-game telemetry, snippets of code salvaged from his compromised system, and logs that showed a disturbing consistency of non-human behavior during matches. The lawsuit was not merely a personal vendetta but a statement to the entire competitive gaming world. There could be no tolerance for cheating, regardless of talent or potential. Chapter 6: The Courtroom Confrontation. The courtroom soon transformed into a modern coliseum where technology and ethics clashed. Expert witnesses took the stand, demonstrating through elaborate visual aids how aimbots and wall hacks could manipulate the game environment. They broke down lines of code and network logs in excruciating detail, leaving no doubt that Saborteon's actions were deliberate and premeditated. The proceedings were punctuated by moments of silence as jurors and onlookers absorbed the gravity of the evidence. Legal arguments were as intricate as the digital code in question. Defense attorneys argued that the young competitor was merely an innovator, a pioneer exploring the uncharted territories of digital manipulation in an era defined by rapid technological evolution. They questioned whether the tools he had harnessed were inherently malevolent or simply misunderstood innovations waiting for the right ethical framework. Yet, the prosecution countered relentlessly. Regardless of intent, the methods employed were a flagrant violation of fair play and a direct attack on the competitive ecosystem that Fortnite had painstakingly built. Outside the courthouse, the public was divided. Social media erupted with debates. Some expressed sympathy for a young mind overwhelmed by the pressure to perform, while others decried the act as a betrayal of the very essence of esports. Streamers replayed the controversial matches, framing each moment with a mix of admiration and revulsion. The legal battle, now unfolding in real time, was becoming as much a spectacle as the tournaments themselves. Chapter 7: Reflections in the Dark, the Internal Battle. In the quiet hours after the courtroom drama, Saborteon found himself alone with his thoughts. The fluorescent glow of his computer screens was replaced by the harsh reality of isolation. In the solitude of his once sacred gaming den, he grappled with a torment that was as profound as it was personal. His journey had been one of extraordinary talent, but now that same brilliance was marred by the stain of dishonesty. Every victory, once a source of pride, had become a bitter reminder of a choice that could not be undone. He recalled the early days of his passion, when every win was an honest triumph over his limitations, and the only measure of success was the satisfaction of knowing he had earned every point through sweat and skill. Now, those memories were juxtaposed with the cold, hard evidence of algorithmic intervention. The hacker within him that had once felt like an extension of his own genius now loomed as a specter of regret. He questioned the path he had chosen. Was the lure of easy victories worth the eventual collapse of trust and honor? Could he ever reclaim the integrity that had once defined his competitive spirit? Chapter 8: The Broader Ripple, Impact on Esports and Cyber Ethics. The ramifications of Saborteon's actions extended far beyond his personal downfall. In the high-stakes world of competitive gaming, where every keystroke could be the difference between glory and disgrace, the incident served as a stark wake-up call. Industry leaders, tournament organizers, and fellow competitors were forced to re-examine the fragile balance between technology and fair play. Conferences and panel discussions were convened, where experts debated the future of anti-cheat measures and the ethical implications of emerging technologies. Questions abounded. How could companies better safeguard the integrity of their games? What responsibilities did developers have to monitor not only the technical aspects but also the human behaviors that influenced gameplay? Epic Games, undeterred by the controversy, doubled down on its commitment to clean competition. In the wake of the lawsuit, they unveiled a suite of updated anti-cheat protocols designed to detect even the most sophisticated hacks. These measures, combining real-time network analysis with advanced machine learning algorithms, were intended to serve as a bulwark against any future attempts to subvert the game's integrity. The company's bold stance was hailed by many in the esports community as a necessary step in preserving the honor of competitive gaming. Chapter 9: A Legacy Written in Binary. For Sabor Tian, the legacy of his actions was written in the cold language of binary code and legal briefs. His name, once synonymous with youthful promise and electrifying gameplay, had become a cautionary tale etched in digital forums and esports histories. Liquipedia now bore the unmistakable mark of disqualification and banning, a permanent record of a fall from grace that would be cited for years to come. Yet, even as his public persona was tarnished, debates continued to rage about the future of innovation in gaming. Some argued that the tools used by Sabor Tian were simply a reflection of a generation immersed in technology, a generation for whom the boundaries between ethical innovation and malicious exploitation were increasingly blurred. They pointed to the rapid pace of technological evolution, suggesting that today's illicit hacks might, with proper oversight, become tomorrow's industry breakthroughs. Others, however, maintained that the integrity of competition was non-negotiable, that the pursuit of excellence could never be compromised by shortcuts or deception. Chapter 10: Redemption or Ruin, the Fork in the Digital Road. In the quiet moments between legal hearings and public outcry, Sabor Tian began to entertain the possibility of redemption. Could his extraordinary technical skills be redirected toward positive ends? Might he one day become a guardian of cybersecurity, a young innovator using his knowledge to help fortify systems against the very exploits he once embraced? These thoughts were tempered by the harsh reality of his current predicament. The legal sanctions were severe, and the prospect of a future marred by a criminal record and public scorn loomed large. Friends and mentors, few in number and even fewer in influence, offered quiet counsel in hushed tones. They spoke of second chances and the potential for change, urging him to use his talents for the betterment of the community rather than its exploitation. In these rare, intimate conversations, Sabortian's inner turmoil was laid bare, a profound struggle between the intoxicating lure of unchecked power and the sobering responsibility of true mastery. Chapter 11: The Fallout, a Catalyst for Change. The reverberations of the Sabor Tian case did not end with the courtroom drama. In the aftermath, a seismic shift swept through the esports world. Tournament organizers instituted more rigorous checks and balances, developers across the industry collaborated on next-generation anti-cheat systems, and gamers, now more aware than ever of the fine line between skill and subterfuge, demanded transparency and fairness. The incident sparked academic studies and in-depth investigations into the psychology of cheating, digital ethics, and the societal impact of esports. Universities hosted symposiums on cyber ethics, inviting experts from diverse fields to debate how emerging technologies could be harnessed without compromising core values. For Epic Games, the lawsuit was a transformative moment. It underscored the need for continuous innovation, not just in gameplay and design, but in the systems that protected the digital arena. In a series of public addresses and developer blogs, the company reiterated its commitment to maintaining an environment where every victory was earned honestly. Their message was clear: while technological advancements could augment performance, they must never replace the fundamental human element of competition. Chapter 12: The Global Conversation, Ethics in the Digital Age. Beyond the immediate sphere of esports, the case of Sabor Tian ignited a global conversation about the ethics of technology and the responsibilities of those who wield it. In boardrooms and academic halls alike, experts debated how far innovation should be allowed to push the boundaries of what is acceptable. The incident became a case study in business schools and technology conferences, a stark example of how unchecked ambition and the allure of shortcuts could lead to catastrophic consequences. Journalists penned lengthy editorials and investigative pieces, exploring not only the technical aspects of the hack but also its broader societal implications. They questioned the cultural pressures that drive young talents to seek an edge at any cost, and they examined the role of corporate responsibility in ensuring that technological progress benefits society as a whole. The discussions often returned to the simple, yet profound, idea that integrity, both on and off the digital battlefield, was the true measure of success. Chapter 13 Epilogue, a story that lives on. As winter crept in and the chill of early mornings replaced the warm hues of autumn, the saga of Sabor Tion remained a living, breathing narrative within the esports community. His story, a complex tapestry woven from threads of exceptional talent, desperate ambition, and tragic missteps, continued to be recounted in online forums, podcasts, and live streams. It served as both an inspiration and a dire warning that in the world of competitive gaming, the line between brilliance and infamy is razor thin, and every shortcut taken is a risk that could lead to irrevocable consequences. For those who had once cheered his meteoric rise, the fall of Sabor Tion was a moment of painful introspection, a reminder that true mastery is defined not only by what one can achieve, but by the path taken to get there. In the end, the legacy of the kid who hacked Fortnite was not merely a cautionary tale of cheating and punishment, it was a call to all gamers and innovators to honor the principles of fair play, ethical behavior, and the relentless pursuit of excellence. The lessons of this case continue to echo through every digital arena, every tournament, and every future generation of esports competitors. They serve as a powerful reminder that while technology may evolve and the methods of achieving success may change, the values that underpin true competition remain immutable. In a world where every keystroke can alter the course of history, the story of Sabor Tion stands as both a monument to the extraordinary potential of human ingenuity and a somber warning of the high price paid when integrity is sacrificed at the altar of victory.